This is Ron Hosen, investment update. This is probably about March 7th, approximately March 7th. So basically what I do in these is just tell you what actions I've taken in case you're interested. I don't think very many people trade alongside of me, but you're welcome to do it or to use the information in your own way. So I have a couple of new things that I've purchased. One was recommended in a newsletter I subscribe to. It's only $59 a year, so it's quite reasonable, and I very much like the guy's style. I just can't remember the name of it, but his name is Meyer, I think. So he recommended in the last issue a company that makes a product that when mixed with a barrel of oil or sub-barrels of oil, parts of a barrel of oil, distillates or the low end or the high end, called InnoSpec Inc. IOSP is the symbol. I paid $30 today. At the close it was, this is the 7th today. At the close it was a little under 29. It may go down some more. But basically it has very substantial cash flow, and what this does is it increases the productivity of whatever the substance is. It makes it cleaner, it makes it more functional when put into an engine, but it's not simply like a lubricant or like something that adds fuel mileage. It's a broader kind of product, the way he described it. Anyway, I liked it. So I bought 300 shares, which means it represents about 5% of my niece's portfolio. As most of you know by now, I am personally a bum and have a net worth of only about $11,000. I only have about a year to live, but I'm managing my niece's money. And so I bought it for her portfolio. He also recommended something called Kronos Worldwide, KRO. I bought that in the low 50s. He said buy up to 55. The other one was buy up to 32. His recommendations have been going up at a really good pace the last 6 months, so he doesn't have very many recommendations that are in a buy range. These two new ones. Kronos produces titanium dioxide, and I would tell you what that's used for, but I can't remember. It's a substance for which there's a fixed capacity in the world, and it would take 4 or 5 years to expand that capacity. So if the demand goes up, it will be the 4 existing producers who get the profits. So I was willing to take a shot. I earlier, like a month ago, bought Rockwood Holdings, which also produces titanium dioxide, and has sells at about 10 times free cash flow. Because of the bookkeeping, because of accounting peculiarities arising from the work of the parasites who constitute the accounting profession, and the regulators, another group of parasites. Rockwood Holdings looks like $250 in earnings, but they have another $2 of free cash flow that is amortization, which is cash. The other the other stocks are the ones I listed on my last two presentations, November and whenever the hell. Peabody Energy, the world's probably largest coal company, a bunch of Canadian oil producers, mostly from the tar sands, but some from other areas. Canadian oil sands, Nexen, which is more diversified, but is a Canadian company with oil sands things. Seadrill, which is a first-rate, high dividend-paying, deep-water driller domiciled in Norway, but trades on the New York. Suncor Energy, which is basically one of the pioneers in oil sands development. Some company in Canada that owns a pile of uranium participation. I did buy one new coal company. Bought it about 2 weeks ago. It's gone down probably 10-12%. It's called Cloud Peak Energy. It was spun off by a larger company, saddled with debt, which is what big companies do. They spin off small companies within them and then dump all their unwanted debt on them. This is, but it's a new company, and they're on their own. So, you know, they have a motivated management. They have holdings in the western clean coal area, where Peabody also has holdings. I can't remember the goddamn name. Cox Commodity Strategy Fund, a Canadian closed-end fund that owns the shares of gold miners and some agricultural companies, have two mortgage REITs that pay 14% dividends, have Cloud Global Allocation Fund, a closed-end fund that owns the shares of stocks globally and sells at about a 12% discount. This is a value guy, a cash flow sensitive guy running it. I think it's a conservative global play, and I will increase my position when there's less uncertainty. And I have Starwood Property. Let me talk about Starwood Property. This was a company that raised money because they were going to buy all these crummy commercial mortgages that were going to be burning holes on the balance sheets of commercial banks and other institutions. Well, when the government bailed out the commercial mortgage, the opportunity for real, for buying real bargains disappeared. So they pay about 7% dividend, and I'm willing to stay with it. This is an example of what was happening when the commercial mortgages were being held by banks, and nobody knew what they were worth, and nobody would buy them. Wall Street hedge funds would sell these companies short, and with the stock going down, they would have to issue bonds, and then they would short the bonds. And so, they were in the dumper. They were going to all go broke. So one set of parasites were sending them into oblivion. Then the federal parasites came in and changed the rules and said, you can carry your worthless mortgage-backed securities at some fantasy price. Well, that was okay, temporarily. It kept these companies from going broke and kept the federal government from having to bail them out with cash. So the accounting rule changed. The value of the mortgages didn't change. The value of the commercial real estate under it didn't change. Just the accounting rule. I wonder how much that one cost. So that's where we sit now. Here's the way I look at the world. I think America has a ghastly educational system because education is hard, and Americans are not good at hard things that require some intellect and patience. It's one step at a time in education. But Americans know how to market. Even Gentiles know how to market. So you may not be a Madoff, but you can probably con your school system into setting performance standards, and some thief will sell you a standardized test and a prep course, and and you can make a big name for yourself running for the school board. It's been my experience in Houston, in Texas, that the people associated with education here are among the stupidest people that I have ever run into. And they're obnoxious because, you see, they're not humble. They don't know they're stupid, and so they impose their wishes. In Texas, how much time?
About a minute and a half.
Okay. In Texas, they engineered a change in textbooks for, I guess, U.S. history. They felt that the existing textbooks were biased in favor of Muslims, communists, and nigger lovers. And they wanted the bias reversed so that it would be favorable to Christians, capitalists, and nigger haters. And they won. Kind of pissed off the book companies because they're parasites who like to do it the same way. All of these textbooks are worthless, whether they embody the new Texas reality or the old whatever. But that's the way they do it here. The end.